Hey, James, it's a pleasure to get a chance to speak with you. And real quick, that shirt that you're wearing right there. I think I had a
Yeah,
shirt
I
like
got it in Bali. I got it in Bali.
I think I had a shirt like that at one time too. So
Yeah,
definitely a conversation piece for sure.
yeah. And this is my when I go to the club. This is I wear this every time because I get so much attention.
Well, I'm sure you do. Look, let me go ahead and get right into this. You're a person who's been rocking with the After Prison Show. You've reached out to me a few times, and we've wanted to have a conversation because you bring a lot to the table with your particular
Okay.
story. You're a guy that served what, like
Thank you.
15 years in prison?
Total, not at one time. Total.
15 years in prison over the course of your life. I believe I read that was between the ages of what, 13 and 30?
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting about your story is the fact of where you're living at right now. You're a guy who served multiple jail and prison bids, and since being released, you don't even live in the United States anymore.
Not well. I did all the way until last year. Last April, I came to Cambodia.
From prison to Cambodia. I mean, that
From,
is,
and I was a state baby. I had no money. I had nobody really looking out for me. I went from a state baby that was a real life piece of shit that was probably going to spend my life in prison to living here like a king.
before we go any further with this, talk to us about how you leave from the United States and end up over in Cambodia.
I get because I'm schizophrenic with PTSD from all the prison stuff and losing people to suicide and seeing dead people. I get disability, and it's not much in America. I'm very poor in America. So I looked at, well, what can I save money and go somewhere where I'm not poor? So I'm here getting my disability check, so I'm not poor.
So you're
You
getting
know?
you're getting a disability check that in the United States would otherwise be
Yeah.
nothing, but maybe over in
Yeah,
Cambodia, are you able to live like a king
well,
over there?
minimum wage here is $150 a month, and I get about 1,500.
Oh yeah, you're
So I get
balling
10
over
times
there.
minimum wage.
You
Yeah, I'm
get 10
balling.
times minimum
I
wage.
showed you pictures of my condo.
Let's touch on a couple of things, and forgive me, I'm not trying to talk at the same time you are, but hey, this is our first time talking, and that's what makes this so natural. We just jump right into this.
Yeah.
You mentioned something really interesting, your mental health and the fact that you're schizophrenic. I just did an interview with a young guy, 25 years old. Not sure if you saw that video. He suffers.
I watched it.
Yeah, he suffers from schizophrenia as well. Talk to us about what schizophrenia does to you.
Well, when I'm not medicated, like even when I got out in 2010, I still wasn't diagnosed properly and medicated properly. So, like I said, I was a real life piece of shit. I told you some bad things I've done, but when I'm not medicated, like I hear stuff, I see stuff. I had delusions of grandeur. I think like God like protects me. Like all these crazy ass thoughts. I'm very paranoid. I think if people are out to get me all the time. But medicated, like I'm, for lack of a better term, normal. Like I feel normal for the first time in my life since I got medicated properly.
Well, it's good to hear that. I don't know anything about Cambodia, and I'm hoping that you'll shed some light on the situation. And forgive me for the way that this is about to sound, but prior to seeing the videos and pictures that you've sent me from over there, I'm thinking about people riding down rivers and in little canoe boats and things like that, like you're living in the damn Amazon forest or something.
No, I'm living in a city the size of Atlanta.
Really? Wow. So that brings me to my next point. Because you suffer from mental disability, schizophrenia, and I believe some other things, you're able to get your medication there, no problem.
All right, now that therapy is very hard here. A doctor is next to impossible, but medication, you don't need a prescription for anything here.
Really?
Anything. I mean, anything.
Well, expound upon that. Like now you got me really wondering, what do you mean by anything?
Like,
What could
like
you
I
get
don't
over there?
partake in anything. I don't partake in anything, but if you have a drug problem, don't come here because You can get Tylenol 3, you can get Xanax, you can get Valium, you can get Ritalin, anything over the counter.
Just go in there and ask for it.
You just go and ask for it. My buddy, he does partake. He just bought 100 Tylenol 3s for $7.
Wow. Let's talk about some pricing over there in Cambodia. Like you said, $150 is the average minimum wage in that country. You're getting a $1,500 a month disability check, living like a king. Talk to us about some prices over there. What do you pay for rent?
My rent's $300 a month.
Nice place.
And you see my condo.
Yeah.
I got an Olympic-sized pool. I get housekeeping once a week. Backup generator, the power goes down, air conditioning in the living room and the bedroom. There's a gym, a big ass gym. There's a spa, but it costs extra, and I can go get a massage right here at my condo if I want.
How much is a massage?
Here it's 16, but if you go in the city, you can get it for about $8 or $10 for an hour.
Wow, it's over $100 an hour here. I wouldn't know, but no.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, tell me about some other prices. What do you spend on groceries?
I don't eat. When I had a Khmer girlfriend, Khmer is Cambodian. When I had a Khmer girlfriend, she fed me like Khmer food, but I'm so sick of it that now that I'm single, I've been cooking Western food. I spend about $50 a week.
$50 a week.
But I eat good. I eat good. Like, I eat really good.
That's like a full-on grocery haul right there.
Yeah. $50 a week is I'm trying to think of prices. Like some other things like cigarettes. If you smoke, I'm trying to quit smoking. It's been 5 days. Cigarettes are 75 cents a pack. Beer is 50 cents a can. At the bar, you're going to pay about $1 at the bar for a beer. You can order local food from Food Panda, which is like DoorDash, for like anywhere from like $2 and up.
Oh my God, man! Yeah.
And delivery fee is anywhere from free to the most I've seen delivery fee was like $2.
Unreal. Certainly cheap over there.
It's better than living in America. Like I'd rather live here. Like don't get me wrong. Like this place has a lot of things wrong with it, but I'd rather be like top of the hill here than bottom of the barrel in America.
Well, let's go back to that real quick. You're a convicted felon in the United States. I got to imagine that getting a passport to leave the country, was that an ordeal for you? Was that a difficult thing to do?
There's only 2 crimes that you can't get a passport on. Well, there's 3 things. 1 is if you owe back child support. I have no children. 2 is if you committed treason. And 3 is if you're an international drug smuggler. As long as you don't have those, it has to be international federal drug smuggling. As long as you don't have those 3, you can get a passport.
It's crazy that you say that. You mentioned the child support. Can you imagine a guy trying to just get the hell away? He owes so much child support. He's trying to get a passport.
That's what they do. That's why they do it, because they'll try to get the away. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
They'll try to get away.
Let's go back to your story a little bit. Like I said, you've served over the course of your lifetime, 15 years, starting from the age of 13. You mentioned things from cracking safes to other things. Talk to us a little bit about your criminal history. A lot of assault charges. Briefly.
Most of it's assault. I had 1 safe cracking. So it started with domestics against my mom and stepdad. Not proud of that stuff. And then then she started like locking me up. And then sometimes it was weird. Like sometimes I'd break the law and she'd lock me up, but sometimes I think they get tired of me being there, especially my stepdad. And so they would make up shit and lock me up. And then by the time I was 18, I was institutionalized. And then I joined the Air Force when I was 18, but I didn't make it out of basic. I got kicked out for trying to fight everybody. And then I went to prison when I got convicted when I was, I think, 19. And I went to prison for the first time for a year in minimum security. And then I just kept going back in and out fighting police officers, assault on corrections officer, all those things. And then the last time I got jumped by some guys, so I jumped in a car and I tried to run them over. I hit an innocent bystander, and they weren't even hurt. They were in the hospital for like 3 hours. I feel bad, but like I lost a lot of my life and got raped and everything else, so I don't feel that bad. And then I got 5 or 6 years for that, and then I had a parole violation, so they gave me another year for that, and I caught time while I was inside.
You shared a lot right there, and you got to imagine that I want to key in on one thing specifically that you just said. There's so much to dissect from everything that you shared. You were assaulted while you were incarcerated.
Yeah, I wasn't this big. I was like 150 pounds back then, and I was 24. I was a good-looking kid, and I had respect from everybody. You know how it is in there. And then I ended up selling with a guy. Not trying to be funny, but he was a black guy. And then we sold for a while. I was going to move out to my buddy's cell, and like the day or two before I was going to move, like it happened, and there was nothing I could do. I did everything I could. There was nothing I could do.
Were you guys okay prior to that? Like prior to this incident taking place, were you guys cordial? Like there was no issues, or were there issues?
Oh, no issues. We were cordial. I think he wanted to get a security raise. So I think looking back at it, I think he used me as a stepping stone to get a security raise. You know,
it's not often. I think it's only been one other person who I've featured on this channel who has gone through an assault in prison like what you're sharing. What happened?
I made sure it never happened again. I became super violent. Like I made sure it never happened. Like the slightest little hint, and I was ready to I was ready to stab somebody. Like I made sure it never happened again.
Forgive me for staying on this subject, but again, we don't get an opportunity to talk about this very often. We don't talk about this at all here. We laugh and joke about it, but it's a very serious thing, and it does happen.
It does happen.
When this happens to you, what happens next? Do the guards find out about this? What's the next thing that happens to you after this? Do you end up in the infirmary?
All right. What happened was the next day, the doors unlocked, and I went to my buddy's cell that was really good friends with these two guys, and I was crying to them, and I told them what happened, and they gave me my options. They knew I was a short timer, because 5 years is still a short timer, 7 years is still a short timer, and they said, well, you have two choices. We can give you a piece and you can get him, but then you're going to catch time, or you can just like check in, just go to the COs, tell them what happened, and check in. So they recommended that's what I did. And these were like hardcore dudes, but they didn't want to see me catch a case. They were good friends instead of trying to amp me up and talk me into doing something stupid. So I went, and I'm not proud of it, but I told on him. Basically, so who cares? And I went to the infirmary, and then after the infirmary, they put me in the hole, and then they did everything in their power to try to say that it was consensual. So I actually got RIB, Rules and Faction Board. I got found guilty for consensual sex, even though it was a freak. And they put a separation between us and sent me to Lebanon, and it followed me when I got there. So I had to fight people to get my respect back, and I got it back. And then I got my security raised to max, and I got to Lucasville, and I eventually got my respect back there a little bit. And then I ended up getting in population in Lucasville, and got into a fight with a CO, and this is a long story. I went to war with them, because you know how it is. You fight a CO, you're going to fight them all the time. And I ended up going to Supermax. And then I got out of Supermax, maxed out, went back to the county jail to face my case. And then that's when I told you how the woman I had, Alyssa, she committed 6 months before I got out. I got sentenced, went back to prison. And this is funny. I went from level 5B Supermax, and within 3 months of getting convicted again, I went back to reception, and they classed me as medium. So I went from supermax to medium. So I was like a lion among a bunch of gazelles. Like it was crazy. Like we were not on the same wavelength.
Again, you've shared so much that we could dissect every little thing from.
Sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. You're just giving me like the idea that we should probably do a few different videos with you to really showcase all that you've gone through. But let me jump in here and say a couple of things so that people can follow this. You're living in Cambodia now. You went through hell serving 15 years over the course of your lifetime, being assaulted in prison, fighting guards, fighting. A couple of things real quick I want to share. In the United States, you were in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
So all of your time was served in Ohio jails and prisons.
Yeah, and I told you I can give you some inmates that are still inside doing life that can co-sign the stuff I'm telling you.
And you did mention that to me. I'm not looking for that right now. Why would anybody even lie about these things? You know, that's where I'm at with this. It's crazy that you get assaulted and the prison tries to cover it up. That's the first thing that I want to share. Because they knew, you know, that if they documented this as an actual assault, you were going to have a lawsuit.
Yeah. I wasn't even looking for that, but that's what it was, you know.
You also shared that after this happened, they open the cells, you go down, you're talking to the guys that you deal with in there, and they give you your options. You can either check in or you could stab this guy. How close were you to stabbing this guy? Because I know you had to be ready.
I was really close, but like I said, I kept like I had Alyssa like by my side writing me. She didn't support me financially, but she wrote me.
And this was your girlfriend, your wife?
She was a fiance. She was a prison fiance, and she stuck by me for 6.5 years. Every Monday I would get 3 letters. Every Wednesday I would get 3 letters, and every Friday I would get 3 letters for 6.5 years from her. The shortest letter was 5 pages, and the longest letter I ever got from her was like 21 pages.
Oh yeah, she was writing you books. I mean, that takes some time to do out there in the free world, and that literally. I mean,
and you know how much you know how much that's appreciated. You like that makes you feel good. And so I was focusing, and I was planning my life even early then. I was planning my life of being free around being with her and everything else. And that's why when she committed suicide, like my whole life crashed. Like every plan I had just disappeared. You know.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear about that and, you know, what you've gone through. Going back to the fact that you're a person who suffers from, you know, mental health disorders, I can only imagine that the time that you spent in prison just amplified that even more. Were you getting your medication?
Well, they were medicated, but you know, in prison, mental health, like they don't medicate you to fix you. They medicate you to placate you, to make you basically dull. They don't want you to be violent. They want you to be like they want you to be very submissive. Like they medicate you to where, like, I stopped taking my medication after I got because I wasn't going to let that happen again. And when they do medicate you in prison, they over medicate you. They don't want to make you better. They just want to make you like
a zombie.
Passive.
Yeah, a zombie.
Yeah.
So what were they giving you, like Thorazine?
You've seen it.
Yeah, they were giving you like Thorazine and things like that to just keep you super drugged up.
Yeah. And then I stopped taking it. I got off it. I stopped taking that stuff. And then since I've been out, I wasn't diagnosed with schizophrenia back then, but they were giving me meds. They had me diagnosed wrong. And then I got out in 2010. I ended up getting with my first wife, and that was very toxic. I'm not proud of it. Like, I was very abusive. I was always thinking she was out to get me. She was trying to poison me, like all these thoughts because I wasn't medicated properly. And then we were together for like 9 years. And then I feel really bad about the way I treated her. And then when she left me, I ended up finally getting diagnosed properly, got my medication, met my second wife. That was great. No abuse, no crazy stuff. The only reason me and her got divorced is because we just grew apart. You know, we're still best friends. You know.
Let's talk about all this abuse that you've gone through in your life, whether it's you abusing people or you getting abused yourself. Not to justify this for you, because like you say, you're not proud of this, but ultimately, this is probably a lot to do with the fact that you're schizophrenic and you've got some serious mental health disorders.
Well, I've always owned up. I've always owned what I did. Like, I'm responsible for everything I did. And that's like the 2 years I did in Supermax. You're locked down 24 hours a day. Like, you can out a wreck if you want. But, like, you can either waste that time, or I use the time to get to know myself. And even though I did some of the stuff after, like, I recognize my faults, my strengths, my faults, the good, the bad, the ugly. And, like, I know, and I talked to a therapist, and he told me, and I disagree with him, but he said that, and he basically said what you said. He said if you would have been diagnosed and medicated, none of this would probably happen.
It's a possibility, but not a guarantee. You've seen.
But I don't agree with that. I'm responsible for my own actions. Like, my disability is not a crutch. It's not an excuse.
And good on you for sharing that and saying that, because, it just shows ownership on your part. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about your life over in Cambodia. What do you do on a daily basis? You're getting $1,500 a month. Do you work? And if you what do you do with your time over there?
No, I don't. I'm allowed to work up. I'm allowed to earn with my disability. I'm allowed to earn, like, I think $1,300 a month, but I don't work because it's too stressful. I can't. I try teaching English, but I can't do it. I get stressed out. So basically, what I do, here's the thing: I have no financial stress here, but I still have the mental illnesses. So, but I'm going to have them regardless of where I am in the world. So I figured, come here, get rid of the financial stress, and just deal with the mental health stress. What I do mostly is I hang out. I have my best friend lives on the hallway from me. I hang out with him. I go on dates. I go to the mall sometimes. If I take some anti-anxiety medication, I might go to the club. I just live a normal. I don't do nothing exciting. I don't do tourist stuff. I just live here.
Well, let's talk about this real quick, because there's going to be people who see this who are like, man, it ain't right that you're getting $1,500 from the United States and you're able to live like a king in another country. You've only been in Cambodia now since earlier this year, correct?
No, last year, April last year.
Yeah, I remember April. I thought it was this year, but
well, okay. Here's the thing on that. There's two different disability checks that you can get. There's SSI, which means you never worked and you didn't earn enough to pay into it, and you cannot leave the country for more than 30 days on that. I don't get that. There's SSDI, which is what everybody pays into, and if you become disabled, you get that, and you can live anywhere but Cuba and what's the other one? North Korea. As long as you don't live in Cuba and North Korea, you can receive it. Like, people don't have to like the fact that I'm getting it, but why would I choose to be poor when I don't have to?
Good way to word what you just said right there, or the way that I take it is, if you were living in the United States receiving what you could get anyways, you would be poor. Yeah. But you've taken what's allowed to you because of your disability, and you've decided to move to another country where you can live a better life.
And I want to get this out there so other people see it. If you're on disability and you get SSDI and you're listening, get your passport and go to another country.
Really interesting. I want to go ahead and just wind this down and wrap this up, because there's so much to take from what you've shared. I want to do a follow-up with you. I want to continue to hear more of what's going on with you and what you've been through, because I know you're.
I can give you some crazy stories, man. I got stories for days.
And I know
that's a long time. There's a lot of stories.
And I know you do. It's so interesting to know. Well, at first, I guess I should say, you served 15 years throughout the course of your life, and then boom, from prison to Cambodia was really the idea that was coming to mind thinking about sharing.
Is that going to be your title?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm really going to have to edit this because there's some strong words in here that we cannot use.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's just the way that it is. I'm just going to have to mute those words. But another thing that I want to ask you real quick is you're doing this on your laptop. Do you have a smartphone over there?
Yeah, I have a smartphone. My mic just isn't working very good. Okay. I'm going to get a new phone tomorrow.
Yeah, if you get a new phone, because the video quality on this is just not that great. I'd like to be able to improve the video quality because there is so much more of your story that we could certainly share. And I think people are going to be interested in it. Real quick, I want to ask you this as we wrap this up. Like I said, I had just done this interview with a young kid, 25 years old. He had never been locked up, really. You saw that video. He was having a lot of problems in the jail during 4 months that he served. He's facing an assault charge in upwards of 4 years, which I don't think that he's going to get.
He's not going to get. This is his first time. He ain't going to get that.
But he also suffers from schizophrenia as well. It's interesting that you suffer from it too. I want to ask you specifically, especially with all that you've been through serving time, what advice would you give to him?
Take your medication.
Say that again.
Take your medication.
Take your medication.
And get therapy.
Yeah.
Well, even if it makes you like my medication, it makes me very tired during the daytime, but I take another medication to counteract that. But even if it makes you tired, even if you don't like the way it makes you feel, still take it because it's better than being crazy, Yeah.
Well, look, James, it's an absolute pleasure to get a chance to speak with you. I truly feel like this is going to be the first of a few different interviews that we do with you here. I want to thank you for being so. Go ahead.
Like I told you in the messages, I consider myself a success story. I honestly consider myself I'm not a prison. I was a prison in and out. But I've been out of prison for 14 years. October will be 14 years.
Good for you.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, for sure. Especially considering all you've been through and all you deal with. James, it's an absolute pleasure to get a chance to speak with you. I'm going to look forward to doing this again with you. Hit me up on Messenger. We can continue to talk. I'll let you know when this is getting ready to come out. And is there anything that you want to leave everybody with as we wrap this up?
If you have mental health problems, when you go to a therapist, don't do like I used to do and not tell them everything because you're afraid they're going to put you in a psych hospital forever. Be honest with your therapist. If you have mental health problems, reach out and be honest. Tell them everything so you can get the proper diagnosis and the proper treatment. That way you don't go through 30 years of your life, 40 years of your life, with mental problems that are not being treated properly.
Good piece. James, again, an absolute pleasure. And I'm going to look forward to talking with you again real soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Take care.